UFO enthusiasts may be a bit disappointed by NASA's announcement this Thursday, where they said their UAP study team has found no extraterrestrial origins of UFO sightings. This is the first report of its kind.
NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said they are appointing a director of UAP research to further study the issue. Let's watch.
Top takeaway from the study is that there is a lot more to learn. The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP have an extraterrestrial origin, but we don't know what these UAP are. That's why I'm announcing that NASA has appointed a NASA director of UAP research. They are being tasked with developing and overseeing the implementation of NASA's vision for UAP research. We will use NASA's expertise to work with other agencies to analyze UAP. We will use AI and machine learning to search the skies for anomalies, as we have been searching the heavens and will continue to search the heavens for habitability. And NASA will do this transparently.
So I guess the good news maybe is that these are not extraterrestrial things that we have recorded flying around. It also always seems like these videos they release of these UAPs were shot on like a baked potato. Like I'm confused as to why the quality of these images aren't better yet. But the more alarming thing is we don't know where they're from. So I guess then the options are if they're not extraterrestrial, they're from somewhere else terrestrial, which would mean China, Russia, North Korea perhaps, Iran. You know, is this really reassuring? And if we don't know where they're coming from, but somewhere on this earth, does that then put the US suddenly at somewhat of a disadvantage that we don't have things with this capability to be showing up in other nations' skies?
I think he's chosen his words very carefully there. He didn't say we have evidence that they're definitely terrestrial. We have evidence that they're all from Earth. He just said we have no evidence to definitively prove that they are extraterrestrial. And so basically he's saying, we still don't know where they're from. That's all that communicates to me. And it's like, okay, we don't for sure know that they're from outside of this world. Got it. Some of them just like fly through the sky, and we have a short video that, as you say, looks like it's from a baked potato. I'm sure they've detected things on their radar before. It's the kind of scenario where, yeah, unless we get the spacecraft and we talk to the aliens, we don't really know it's not from here. If they're just passing through, we have no chance to collect any evidence that it's not from this planet. And so I think it's this kind of very careful way of speaking to quell a lot of the recent, I think, excitement about all of the UAPs and aliens and UFOs. I think there might have been a determination. Maybe people aren't ready to hear that we're not sure if they're from this planet or not. It could be careful communication, but to me, this isn't them saying there's definitely no aliens. I don't think that's what they're communicating in that press conference.
I think putting aside the idea, again, that they're just passing through, or perhaps we're planning on coming here, saw what's going on Earth, and just decided to hit it and look for a rest stop on the next planet or the next solar system over. Hard to blame them for that. I do think it's interesting, you know, you mentioned that there's a lot more interest in UFOs, UAPs lately, and there was that hearing on Capitol Hill recently where you had somebody there, essentially this whistleblower, claiming that not only do we have crashed or landed UAPs, but supposedly the U.S. government has in its possession, I think it was non-human biologics was the term that was used, you know, suggesting that we have alien bodies somewhere sitting in a warehouse. Now, a lot of people have questioned the veracity of that whistleblower's claims, but do you think the American people, what would the reaction be if the government were to confirm that, yes, these are extraterrestrial and we have some of their bodies? You know, is that, to your point, are the American people ready to hear that?
I don't know. I'm on the side of, yes, the American people are ready to hear it. This kind of paternalistic thinking that we have to protect the general public from the truth is ridiculous. To assume that members of NASA or the security establishment have some unique kind of fortitude for stomaching the fact that there might be life beyond Earth is absurd. absurd to me. They're just like everybody else. They don't have this unique ability to be so brave that they can think about the existence of aliens. I just really don't buy it. It might be a shock at first, and I think many people are in denial because they won't let their brain go there to think through how much of their lives would change if we had aliens here on Earth or what have you. And so many people have this skepticism where they're like, I'll believe it when I see real evidence. I'm not taking the whistleblower's word for it, even though there's a higher standard for them reporting on this than any other story before. The amount of military personnel that David Grush talked to and members of the security establishment, and then you had Schellenberger go and report and talk to more people to corroborate the accounts that Grush reported on. I mean, this is such good journalism compared to any other topic. Why were we willing to believe George Bush when he's like, they've got some weapons of mass destruction? We're like, no need to look into that. We believe you, sir. But now we have folks whistleblowing on this issue, and we're like, I'll believe it when I meet an alien. I think there are some people that are skeptical because they're afraid. That doesn't mean they're not capable of stomaching the information, though. What do you make of it? Do you think that the American people are ready?
I don't. I want to say yes for the same reasons that you said. You know, the government shouldn't be acting as, you know, like it's okay for you to know this or think about this, because obviously we saw how that can go awry so quickly with everything the White House and the Biden administration was doing to censor information through big tech companies about COVID, the vaccines, things like that. We can see when things go very wrong whenever the government thinks that they know best and thinks they know what the American people can handle. But I also just feel like that's one more thing that the American people just don't have room in their brains to handle, which might be a good thing. You know, I almost feel like, given the way that the news is going and the way the economy is, you know, not doing well, and we've got wars in Russia and Ukraine, we've got potential wars between China and Taiwan rather, it would probably be one of those things where, like, yes, the government has confirmed the existence of extraterrestrial life and other news, and I feel people would just kind of brush over it because what are we going to do about it, right? We can hardly handle just keeping the auto worker unions from going on strike. How are we supposed to even conceptualize what the government would do? You know, would we have to find an ambassador to the extraterrestrial thing? Like, it would not go anywhere.
Yeah, I could be the ambassador, the communicator
Perfect.
between the U.S. government or the world and the aliens. I'm up for the job. I mean, I think, yes, people are ready for it. Do I think that this administration is particularly good at communicating about big issues and crises? Karine Jean-Pierre left when she was asked about Hunter Biden. I don't think they're equipped to communicate around this at all. I think you bring up a good point in talking about COVID. Something scientific that is a bit more than what everyday people think about on a day-to-day basis. How do we manage and contain a pandemic? How do we manage public health in a way that keeps most people safe and healthy? How do we communicate about what a vaccine does, why they're safe, what the science is behind them? They absolutely failed when it came to COVID communication. I just think this administration is uniquely bad at communicating with the general public around important issues. They've had so many mistakes throughout this administration. Bidenomics is another one. You can't just say we did Bidenomics and the economy is better now when everyday people are hurting and the messaging doesn't match the evidence in their everyday lives. And so I think people are ready, but I think this administration would absolutely fail in trying to communicate about UAPs, UFOs, and extraterrestrial life.
I think you are absolutely right on that. This administration could be perhaps the worst equipped in history to reveal to the American people and therefore the world the existence of extraterrestrial life. I can just imagine Karine Jean-Pierre trying to explain that to reporters, or maybe even when they ask about it, she'd just turn around and walk away like she does with any other question she doesn't want to answer. We will be right back with more Rising right after this.